A Canadian parliamentary delegation is at this hour on its trade mission trip to China. This while two Canadians are still detained there following the arrest of a high-profile Chinese telecom executive in Vancouver. Our Sasha Petrusik is in Shanghai. He's following the Canadian delegation this week. Sasha, what are the MPs and the senator up to right now?
Well, the four members of parliament and the senator are off to see members of the Shanghai People's Congress, lower-level politicians here in China. They will also be doing some tours of a high-tech park and really the kind of thing that a delegation from Canada comes and does under normal circumstances in trying to foster trade and better connections. Of course, the connection here is not as good as it was and the circumstances aren't normal. And one of the members of parliament on this tour, Michael Cooper, a Conservative, acknowledged that this morning.
The elephant in the room, so to speak, is the arbitrary detention of these two Canadians. So we will be consistently in our meetings with Chinese officials, convey the Canadian message to those officials to call for the immediate release of Mr. Spavor and Mr. Kovrig.
Of course, the big thing on everybody's mind is going to be what has been happening to the two Canadians who were arrested. Michael Spavor, who is an entrepreneur here. He lives near the North Korean border and does a lot of business with North Korea. The other one, Michael Kovrig, who is a former Canadian diplomat, now a member of a think tank. Both of them were arrested last month and face very serious accusations here. Now, the former Canadian ambassador here to Beijing, Guy Saint-Jacques, has said that this is not a normal situation and this committee should not be treating it as a normal situation.
Well, I think it's because it's an issue that could have such an impact on the bilateral relationship. I think it would be normal for the delegation to raise our concerns and to speak forcefully.
So their trip, obviously, really big news here in Canada, Sasha. How much attention, though, is it getting there in China?
Well, it has been in the Chinese language media here. The coverage has been in passing and it's been quite neutral, but that in itself is interesting because normally a delegation like this wouldn't even be mentioned. So the fact that it has been means that many people here are paying attention.
All right, Sasha Petrusik in Shanghai, where it's already Monday morning. Thanks, Sasha.
My pleasure.
So while the delegation travels through China, Spavor and Kovrig are still being held in undisclosed locations, where they are reportedly questioned by authorities some 3 times a day. Tomorrow will be 4 weeks since Chinese authorities took the two Canadians into custody in Beijing and Dandong for so-called national security reasons. So far, they haven't been formally charged with any crime. Still, China's top prosecutor said last week there was, quote, no doubt they had broken the law. Kovrig and Spavor have had no contact with lawyers or family members. They've had one meeting with Canada's ambassador, and there's no sense as to when the next one will be. The Foreign Affairs Minister's office says, as we have said before, we are deeply concerned by the arbitrary detention by Chinese authorities of two Canadians last month and call for their immediate release. As for Meng Wanzhou, she has been released on $10 million bail and is living in a multi-million-dollar Vancouver home in advance of her next court hearing next month.